All right. Hi, I'm Petra Monaco. I am the CEO of the Rebel Stand, and I have with me my friend Ladina from Australia. I've known, God, how long have we known each other? 4 years? 5 years?
5, 6.
About that. About
Yeah.
that. In the online space, that's kind of like a long time, actually. And the thing that has you all excited and always inspired is photography. That is your jam.
Yep.
So
Yes.
how long? Well, when did you get started with photography, actually? Let's start there.
When did I get started? When did the passion start? I was the one always with the camera. Even when I was a kid, I was the one that would get the camera out. I would be the one photographing the family, which back when I was a kid was film. So mum was not particularly impressed that I was always with the camera. It wasn't the cheapest hobby back then. But then when I was 16, my mum, who is not the most creative person in the world, like I am the creator in my family. Everyone else is sort of a bit more practical, I guess.
Yeah.
So my mum knows nothing about photography other than she critiques mine on the regular.
It's a mom thing to do.
So my mum bought me a secondhand SLR film camera for my 16th birthday. And so I loved it. I took lots of photos. I had no idea what I was doing, but then I went and did a little bit of work experience with a photographer. So in Australia, we do work experience, or we did when I was at school, where we go and we just go into a workplace for a week or two and just experience what's going on. And I worked with a photographer for the 2 weeks, and which was great. Most of it went over my head, but I did learn a few things. And so basically it's just all sort of started from there. And then I was a really young mum. I had Liam just before I turned 20, and I took lots of photos of him. And so I look back at them now, and they're not, amazing, but I've got memories.
Well, but I think you have to get started.
That's right. So I just kept taking photos of my kids. And so I had Liam, and I was taking photos of him. And then, work got in the way, parenting got in the way, relationships got in the way. And then Liam turned 10 and I turned 30. And I've just, for exactly 1/3 of my life, measured all of my achievements, measured my life on somebody else's achievements. So I was like, right, so I've turned 30. What am I going to do? And a friend of mine was staying with me at the time, or just after I turned 30. And she said, well, let's do it. You've always wanted to do something with your photography. Let's make it happen. So she helped me set up a Facebook page. We got a logo made, and I just started shooting. I look back at those photos now and think, thank goodness I didn't charge anyone for those.
I mean, I can't relate. I look back at my early wood burnings and going, oh my God, like I was bad. And now it's like, okay, I've improved. Got it.
Yeah. Anytime I start going, oh, I suck, which is, the created mantra. This is awesome, I suck. This is awesome, I suck. Then, I go back and look at some of those photos and I'm like, I've come a long way. So
that's really important to reflect on that growth, though, because we tend to not do that. There's two sides of it. You either like reflect and looking, okay, I'm getting better, I am improving, I'm doing all these things, or you're like, I quit. I mean, that's really, there's no other thing. And you just kept sticking with it, because I've watched, we've been friends for the last 5 or 6 years, and I've watched you struggle with that.
Well, I actually just came back from a 2-year break.
I know. I didn't know how much you wanted to go into that. So I was like, I don't know how far I can go.
No, it's my journey. I own it.
and that's
so basically, so January 2012 is when I started my photography business. it was up and down the whole time. I had sabotage, I had self-sabotage, I had great marketing things that worked, things that didn't. I was charging too much, and then I was charging too less, or, you know, the other way around. And then it was just sort of, you know, things that felt good, things that didn't feel good, but I tried everything.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and I had a relationship breakdown, and then I had other things happen. And
Life.
so that's actually when the relationship broke down, is when the photography started to ramp up, because I had some room for it. And because I was a little bit determined to prove someone wrong. And then, so basically that happened. And then we, you know, things were going great. And then my now fiance and I got together not long after the last relationship. Sorry, I'm rambling. It's not really making much sense.
Just ramble on.
Edit out all the crappy bits, Petra. Okay, so
not likely. This is a real show, y'all. We're keeping it real.
Okay. That's what I say to my clients. They're like, oh, you know, Photoshop this out, Photoshop. No, this is what's happening. I promise you'll look good, but we're keeping all the realness.
Yep.
So anyway, so we got together. We had a long distance relationship. I was working in my business. That was great. We moved in together, which was awesome. He's my biggest supporter, but we were blending a family together. And he moved interstate, had to find work. So he found work. And then it got to the point where I had to go back to work because the business wasn't making quite enough money to sustain a family of 5. And so that's when I went back to work, and I tried to go from having worked part-time in business and in work to then working full-time in business back to working full-time work. Excuse me. And then trying to fit full-time work in with still running a business. I burnt out really quick.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it happen. Well, yeah. You know.
And it took me ages to admit it, and it took me ages to actually shut down the business.
Yeah. Well, but
I needed to. By the point of when it was time, I was just like, I have to stop this, because I have to stop not really doing anything but feeling like I should be.
And I think that's important, because we tend to carry those shoulds. I mean, I've had several businesses in the last 15 years or so where I'm like, oh, I should keep going. I need to keep going because I said I would do this. What happens if I say, oh, I'm closing my business? What are people going to think? Oh my God. Like, that's a real thing for any creative, truly, or any business owner really, that, oh, I'm shifting it. Like, I'm literally going through that with my own right now. Like, I'm like, what are people going to think because I'm not posting on Peter Monaco's Facebook page?
Something I learned is really no one notices.
Yeah. Well,
they notice when you show up.
Yeah.
And if you've made promises you can't keep, then they notice. But if you were showing, you know, if you weren't really, your heart wasn't really in it, and then you disappeared, no one really notices.
Yeah. So
they just notice the new thing.
Yes. And my new thing is awesome. And your new thing is awesome because you relaunched your business.
Really, really softly.
But that's all right. I mean, I think you're still figuring out your balance, and I think that's important because you are still a family of 5.
Well, technically we're a family of 6. So between the 2 of us, we have 4 kids.
Woo.
One lives with his mum interstate. So we don't get to see him very often, which we'd love to see him more. But, you know, he's getting older now, so he can come and visit more and more. When I say older, it's not like he's 10 and now can fly. Like he's almost an adult. So he can come visit more often, which would be great. But but there's a family of 5 that we have to sustain.
Yep.
And I still work full time. But I did step back. Hello. Okay. Thank you, darling. I'm actually in the middle of work. I love you. Off you go. So a family of 5 I'm juggling with. I actually have 2 other co-parents I also have to manage, with, you know, full-time work, a business which I love and would desperately love to spend more time on, you know, and sometimes I actually like to have a bit of a social life thrown in.
That's great. You know, being an adult for a moment would be nice. I hear you. We just talked about this. I'm like, yeah, adulting.
Yeah, so the business is taking time to build.
Yep.
Like, I haven't even got a website up yet. I've got my Facebook page, and that's it.
Well, and that's the thing. You don't always need the website. The point is, again, is to just get started and to be doing something, even if it's just a little thing. And then it becomes about being consistent in it, right? Like, you find those windows of time where, like, this is the time I can spend on it. And then that's what I'm going to do because this is important to me. And y'all better listen. Like, this is literally what, like, this is my time. This is what I'm doing. Y'all stop. But I appreciate you sharing that, because I think people don't understand that for most creatives, this is our livelihood, or we're just getting started and we're trying to figure out how to make it all work. And it's scary, overwhelming, and oh my God.
You know what, though? I felt like when I shut down the business last time and when I was starting up this one, I was like, oh my God, I've lost everything. You know, I've got nothing left from what I did before. But the thing really is, nothing is wasted. Like, all the stuff I learned from last time, all the lessons, all the contacts of people that I'd lost are now coming out of the woodwork because they're like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
You know, all that. So, you know, nothing is wasted. I still have files of things that I can repurpose, and I have photos coming out.
And you're right. And there's things you've learned and continue to learn, and you reflect on going, okay, that didn't work, but this worked. So I'm going to be more doing of that. Right. Like, yeah, I don't believe in failure that way.
Yeah. Like, oh, this didn't work, but maybe if I tweaked it this way, and use this other thing I learned, maybe putting them together will make them work better. And you know what? I'm still failing. I'm still doing things that aren't working. I'm still posting stuff that no one looks at. I'm still, you know, doing those things. But there's a few things where I'm like, no, this is working. This is amazing.
But even if you're posting and nobody comments, I mean, I just launched Rebel's Den at the beginning of January, and not everybody comments or likes my posts. But, and literally, I have this note. I want to share this with you. It says, don't focus on the numbers, focus on what you do, right? Because that's what it's about. It's, yes, we want the numbers on the social media posts. Yes, we want the numbers in our bank accounts. Yes, to all of that. But it's really about what we do. So how did you find the inspiration again?
How did I find it? That's a really good question. My kids are my inspiration and my block.
Yes. I agree.
But you know what made me start again was we actually just needed the extra money. So I started posting just on my personal page, like, hey, let's do some cheap photo shoots so that I can, you know, get through Christmas sort of thing. And then because we got engaged last year, you know, we really want to get married this year. And it's not the cheapest event, but at the same time, like, we're not wanting to spend a lot of money, but it still costs money to get married. So, you know, when you're raising a family and working full time and things, there's only so many dollars that are coming in, and there's always bills to pay. So there, basically I started, you know, doing that, and, you know, we'll save up for the wedding, get through Christmas, save up for the wedding, that sort of thing. And then I was just like, I just started doing it. Yeah. And I just fell in love with it all over again. Something happened to me a few years ago where someone else said to me that photography wasn't my big thing, that something else was. And I believed that person.
Oh, I remember things like that vaguely. Just saying.
And not that they didn't believe in what I did, because they did, or at least they showed that they did. That's what I thought. Yeah. But it was just like this other agenda, which I didn't realize until, you know, probably quite recently in the last 6 to 12 months. that there was a lot of things that people have said to me in the past that I've internalized, and now I'm like, you know what? That's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Photography is my big thing. What it turns into later on might be something completely different, but right now it's my big thing. What, you know,
Right.
what's happening after this moment, I don't know.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we tend to hire coaches and things, it is their agenda rather than staying true to our agenda, like with our goals. And that's not how coaching is supposed to work. They're not supposed to push their agenda on the client, right? Like we know this. Which is why I stepped away from one-on-one, because I didn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
It's not something that I do because I tend to hold more space like that. But yeah, because I was similar, literally, 3 years for this to unfold? You know, so I get you.
Sometimes we just got to step out of our own way.
Yeah, truly. Well, I think that's where the lessons that we've learned over the years come into play. Because we do remember, okay, yes, that worked, that didn't work. This is what really got me excited, like that part of it. And how can I bring that back?
Yeah.
You know, and I think we sometimes get lost again in the shoulds and like, oh God, I got bills to pay.
Yeah. But in that, it's also that, like, you know, not even the shoulds, it's the other people's voices.
Yes.
And not that they're, and you know what, most of the time they're really well-meaning.
Oh yeah, they
think
truly,
they're helping.
Truly, they don't realize that it's not helpful. Like they don't recognize that it's not being helpful. Like I agree with you, because I can think of a few instances. I'm like, yeah, that's not helpful, but thanks, and I put a smile on her face.
Yeah. So I just, so that's basically how I restarted. I, you know, made a Facebook page, invited some friends to like it, shared the shit out of it.
We'll be sharing the shit out of it.
Yes. Have camera, will travel. So, and that's now the dream that's coming from it, is that it's like, for before it was always this, because it's such a local, you know, a one-on-one or a, you know, a camera and a few people, and it's sort of, it's in person. I just sort of felt like the world of that was so tiny that it was like, I have to be in this one space to reach enough people and blah, blah. And then I'm like, you know what? Have camera, we'll travel. Like,
I love that.
Travel is what I want to. I am a 37-year-old woman that has never had a passport. I've lived in Australia my entire life. And all I've wanted to do since I was about 4 is travel the world.
Yeah.
And connect with people and immerse myself in cultures and, you know, that sort of thing, and document it and take photos of it and tell stories. And, you know, that's the dream, is to be able to travel and tell people stories and do interesting things with people and document their moments. Like, you know, this whole like movement of like decluttering and Marie Kondo and all of that sort of stuff. Like, yes, I've been bitten. I haven't done much about it.
I've not.
I haven't done much about it, but I've definitely become more, like, the older I get, the more mindful I become about what I'm spending my money on, what I'm bringing in to my space, what I'm getting rid of. You know, do I actually really love this? Do I need it? Like, I'm actually asking some questions about some things. And so for me, I'm like, you know what? I don't want a lot of things. I want the freedom to travel. I want the freedom to create.
I know. I'm thinking about that as you're talking. My goal is to live in an RV when my youngest is on his own, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta fit this entire office / studio into an RV. I don't know how I'm gonna pull that off. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I'll figure it out.
One step at a time.
I've got 5 years.
That's it. So, but I want to be able to do more, and I want to document other people doing more with their lives. Like, I love photographing families. I love that. And not the normal portrait where, you know, just standing all side by side and that sort of thing. Yes, they usually get one of those in their package, but it's more about those moments of like silliness and those moments of
the real
connection
ones
and love and the joy and, you know, all of that sort of stuff that's my jam, is that whole like getting them so relaxed in front of the camera that they just be themselves, and I can take photos of that and capture that. Like,
I love that.
And then the other thing I want to do more of is photographing business owners in that same way, where they're in their own space and they're doing their own fun thing, and how they connect with their employees or their family members, or how that, you know, how their business fits into their life.
Yeah.
And tell that story.
Yeah. I love that. Like, I'm like, okay, when are you coming here?
I'd love it to be this year, but I am thinking it's probably going to be next year.
You're getting married, so let's put that on the priority list.
But Evan wants to come, so maybe it'll be our honeymoon. I don't know, a working honeymoon. I don't know.
Because, and I've told you for years, I would love for you to do that. Like, come here. Well, I want to, you know, have that in-person event anyway, but then also like, hey, photo shoot. Yes, let's do this. But I think that's really beautiful because, again, especially in the online space too, and people working in office, you don't see that dynamic because it's behind walls. You don't
see the screen.
Yeah. I mean, there's a purpose why the Rebels Den interviews are set up the way they are. They're in my office with all the stuff in it because this is my life. This is who I am, a little chaotic.
See the bunting behind me?
I see.
That's a Christmas decoration I still haven't taken down. And the other corner of the lounge room, there's still a Christmas tree up. It's the 9th of February.
Yeah, I hear you. but it is about being real. And we don't get to always see that. And I think that it's really beautiful that you want to do that, because I think bringing that connection, even in business, like walking in there and just people doing their thing like they naturally do them, brings that realness.
Yeah, and I know that I posted about stock photography a little while ago, and you had this amazing answer of like, all the stock photography is so sparkly and clean, and
I'm literally
Petra.
I'm literally anti-glitter, anti-unicorn, anti-pink, rose gold. Like, I'm literally like,
get it away from me.
Like, I can't, because literally my desk, I mean, if you could look, it's freaking chaotic. I mean, I declutter because I have to, in order for me to create, I have to have a clean space. But it doesn't stay that way when I'm in the jam of things.
No.
But literally, I have wooden desks. I don't have a white desk. And it's messy.
I have a white. I want a timber one.
But the thing is, it's messy. It's not clean, and it's so all the stock photos, none of them
it's
really
all
represent
white and rose gold. And I love rose gold. My engagement ring is rose gold.
I mean, it's pretty in jewelry.
It's not my brand.
No, people listen. Purple and teal, those are my colors. Like, I jam with them half since the inception of my business. But I don't see a lot of branding with any of that as far as stock photos. You know what I mean? And then it's the glitter in the pink, it's all pretty, in the flowers. And I'm like, oh my God.
So something I want to do is the stock photography. So there's this whole business side of my business, and then there's the real family stuff, and they sort of go together in some aspects.
Truly.
But that whole there's so much out there that is just copy and paste.
Yeah.
And everyone's doing it. And I don't mean everyone as in literally everyone, but I'm like, you know, every third person is doing something. If it's not the same, it's really similar. Mm-hmm. Which, if that's really who you are, that's amazing. Like, don't stop doing something just because someone else is doing it.
Yep.
But make it your own. And so
Absolutely.
with the photography, is like, I want to make it my own. I want to make it. So if I'm working for a business owner, it's like, okay, you need some photography. Okay, let's work together to make sure there's heaps of photos of you, heaps of photos of your work, heaps of photos of topics that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So that you don't have
challenge I have.
Yeah.
That's really the other challenge I have.
So let's work together to work that out, rather than you having to go and Google
Yeah.
3 million photos because you're like, nothing's speaking to what I'm doing.
I mean, I have two resources I use because I use nature-based is the other piece that speaks to me, and I can find good stuff, but then I see the same forest pictures over and over again. I'm like, can we do some different forest pictures? And literally I could go out and get them myself, but then that's your job. It's your work. Like,
that's the thing, like there's so much that I'm like, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. Okay, I could do it and take a whole weekend and hate most of the time because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm freaking doing. Or I can pay someone for an hour who loves to do it, can get it finished, and it's done.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, in my other alternative life, I've been dropping hints. I do virtual assistant work because that's how little I pay my bills. People hate it. They hate the tech stuff, the email setup and the website setup, like all those things. And I'm like, I can help. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes. And they're like, that's awesome because I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it for you. And it's just, I enjoy it. And they don't. So they pay me. It's the same thing with the stock photos and just photos in general. Like literally at some point I need to hire somebody to do the product photos for my stuff because I'm like.
I know. When we start out, we kind of do have to do everything.
Yes.
Or at least, the bulk of stuff because, the funds aren't usually there to start with. But collaboration is awesome. Find some other people to work with. If you look hard.
My dog
I've been interrupted by kids. You've got the dog going.
Somebody definitely
the driveway. People.
This is how I know when people show up in my house because the dog's going nuts. That's all right.
But collaboration. Let's,
Oh, absolutely. I think there's this illusion too that people like competition, which is really old style business thinking, right? Like competition. It does not work in this world anymore. I mean, sure, for some businesses, this is great. I'm not saying it's not, and it works well for some businesses. But in my particular world, competition doesn't really exist when we're supporting each other. We're both winning.
There are like literally thousands of photographers in every part of the world.
Yes.
But no one does it quite like I do.
Right.
And no one does exactly the same things as I do.
Yep.
And they don't do it exactly the same way as me. They don't have my personality.
Right, exactly.
They do other things. And I hire photographers to do things for me. Because they, like, I can take photos of my kids. I can take photos of my fiance. I can take photos of them together. But getting really nice shots of all of us, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Well, there's that. But then your eye for this is also different than somebody else's. I mean, that's really the difference. Exactly. Is your eye is different. And then what you might find not so great, they're actually able to pull off and go, no, this is like the most amazing photo ever. And you're like,
yeah. I know. And then you see it and you're like, yes, it is, but there's no way I could have made it happen.
Yeah, exactly. I so love that you talked about everything and we're so transparent about, yes, I started, then I shut down and I started again and slowly bringing it back. Because I think it's really important for anybody listening and watching.
Yeah. Hey, and photography is not the only business I've ever had.
What I do now is not the only business I ever. This is literally like a spin-off of all the things I've ever done.
I've done party plan. I've done, what else have I done? I've done coaching, which, I might do more of in the future, but, probably in a different realm.
I enjoyed our session.
I've done, what else have I done? But like, and when I say I've done party plan, like I did 4 different ones at 4 different times. I've done, so, I've done.
Yeah, I think playing around with different business ideas is really helpful to figure out what it is you do want to do. Like you can't just say, well, I'm going to be a coach, but then you get into it and you freaking hate it. And then you're like, oh crap. No, explore with that. Because literally what I'm doing now and why you're here is part of what I've done for the last 15 years. It's literally the end result of exploring all these different businesses I started melting into one. And you just got to figure it out, and you're going to do that by trial and error.
Exactly. And like I was saying before, nothing is lost. You've learned something from every experience, even if at the like bare minimum you've gone, I do not want to do that ever again.
Yep. Well, there's this thing that people say, don't throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. And I'm like, no, throw the spaghetti on the wall.
Throw all the spaghetti.
Throw it all.
However, don't keep throwing it when you've got half a pot stuck to the wall.
Yes.
Like
at some point you have to like, okay, this isn't working.
Yeah.
I need to do something else. But because you're only going to learn through trial and error. I mean, there's so many people that can teach you strategy. They can teach you all the things. But no matter what they teach you, that may not work for you.
And the thing is, you learn so much more by doing than learning,
absolutely,
listening or, that passive learning.
Yeah. I quit listening to webinars because I just don't get anything out of them.
I actually started listening to some YouTube videos and audio books and stuff again. And that is what drives me, as in that inspires me to do things.
Yeah.
But if I don't do something right then and there, it means nothing.
Right. Yeah. So it's funny because I quit reading self-help and success books. Like I stopped completely.
I saw that. I saw you comment somewhere about that.
I completely quit reading and listening to podcasts. I've never been a podcast person anyway. When I was traveling, that was okay, but I don't travel as much because I'm at home. But I stopped reading all the books and all the things and started reading fiction. And I've been way more inspired by reading fiction than anything else, where my imagination is going, my life is coming together, my business is coming together. And it was just like, stop reading all the self-help. And the irony is I'm a self-help author.
But you know what it is with that? Like, so I still love all the self-help things, but I'm really good now at like getting like partway through a book and going, this is not what I want.
Not that I'm against them, obviously, because I write them on purpose, but I think there comes a point where there's enough learning. You have to take action. Like without it, nothing's ever going to come of it.
I take regular breaks.
Yeah.
So that's my way of like, okay, if I read or listen to another self-help thing in the next little bit, my head is going to explode and still nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but in saying that, it's often when I come back to it that I start really doing some good work and getting really productive. Yeah.
I think I've said this in a couple of interviews already, and I will probably forever say this in my entire life. It comes down to self-awareness.
Exactly.
Literally, that's when you focus on becoming self-aware, figuring out what works for you, figuring out your blocks, or I hate the word, but what's stopping you, what sets you off, or what saddens you, what angers you, like all the things. When you become aware of any of that, that'll change your life. All you have to do is spend some time with yourself. And that's the scariest thing you'll ever do.
But actual awareness time. Like it can't just be, I'm alone and watching TV. It's like I might be in a room full of people, but I'm spending 5 minutes thinking about what's going on with me.
Yep. Yeah. Something that I like, when I get frustrated, I journal it out. I'll write about the frustration. And then at the end, when I have nothing else to say about it, I'm like, all right, how can I solve this? How can I solve this? How can I make, and by that time I'm going, oh, shoot, that's all on me. You know what I mean? Like I made this bigger than it needed to be. I became frustrated over something that didn't need any.
One of my biggest lessons is to actually think it all the way through.
Yeah.
Even if you don't write it down, writing down's great, but even if you don't write it down, just thinking it all the way through. So you have this thing where you're like, oh my God, if this happens, everything's going to be shit. Okay, Petra, like you never get another paying client. What's going to happen?
Okay, I'm not being coached, but I couldn't pay my bills.
No. So you can pay bills. So what would you do? If you couldn't pay your bills, what could you do?
Get a job, obviously. Like that.
And then and then if you've got a job, what are you going to do? What's the worst thing that can happen if you've got a job?
I don't have to worry about all the business stuff.
Like, but that's the thing. Like, but you talk about, oh, what if I do this thing? What if I create this rebel den and it just flops? Oh, well, I'll go back to coaching.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Or I'll do this other thing, or I'll,
See, that's the cool thing about being a multi-passionate. I have so many options available to me that I'm like, okay, I'm so not worried about it.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm not like all this stuff anyway. I'm not teaching you anything.
Nope.
But it's but a lot of
if anybody wants to hire her, they could put some money in your pocket.
But the thing is, it's that we get a lot of our fear of like being creative, or fear of doing things, or the fear that stops us from doing something. Yeah. If we actually looked past the fear, like through the fear of like what would actually happen, absolutely, it takes so much anxiety out of the situation, because you're like, I have a backup plan. Yeah. If this doesn't work out. Yep. The thing is, like, if I do my photography and it doesn't work out, okay, well, I've still got a job. Might not be the best job in the world, but I'm still paying my bills. Right. Like, the kids still go to school. Everyone's, might just have to find a different job.
I think that's really important. I stepped away from the law of attraction. Like, anybody that teaches it, anybody that talks about it, I'm just like, I am not open to hearing about it at the moment. Because for me, this reality-based living. There's some real things that we need to, like, especially when you're a special needs parent, like, there's some real things that the law of attraction isn't even. Like, let's not go there. And that's why I like doing these interviews like this, because there's so much reality in that we share, right? Like, that's what makes these conversations so beautiful.
There's no guarantees.
No. I mean, I could walk outside now and get hit by a car. I hope not. It's all knock on wood. Yeah. Not that I'm going to walk outside now, but that's the reality. Yeah. It can happen, but it's not going to stop me from going outside. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still going to get in my car. I'm still going to drive to whatever that thing is. Because if I focus on, like, oh my God, I'm going to hit by my car, I'm never leaving my house again. That's not a life.
Not one I want anyway.
Yeah. But we know you don't have a website, but where's your Facebook page?
My Facebook page is Ladina Photography. If you do, how with the links you do www.facebook.com/, it's actually Ladina Battin. So LADINABATTIN. But if you Google Ladina Photography or search for Ladina Photography in Facebook, you'll find it.
And
there will be a website. I am actually building one at the moment. It just has not been completed yet.
That's all right. We'll be linking all that in the moment. And when you have all the website and stuff, we'll update all the links. So no worries there.
Yay.
Yay. So with that said, she's willing to travel currently within this Australia.
I have not got a passport, but I will make it happen.
So if you want to hire her. If you want to give her ideas for stock photo options, do that. Because I think that's really, really important.
And tell me what it is. So when you're talking about stock photography, tell me what it is you want to talk about when you have that photo. Not what you want the photo of, but what's the topic you want to explore?
Because the unicorn glitter, all that doesn't resonate with me. Things that don't resonate is the word tribe, like anything like that. It doesn't resonate with me. And so it's all like that pink glitter unicorn stuff. And I'm like, I'm not a unicorn. I'm a Petra. I don't do glitter. Don't bring that mess in my house. Like, no. and I'm just not pink is fine. I'm not against it. I work with the color. It's just not my jam. So, and so for me, it's, I don't know if you can see, I have a skull over there. I have a skull with a raven up there. And then you see all the colors. It's the teal and the purple. Like, it's crazy colorful in my space. That's what I would like to see, because that's who I am as a person. I'm that clean yet contradiction, messy person. Like, I can be both, which is really hard to show off in a picture that side is clean and that line is so messy. It's like Jekyll
We
and
can do
Hyde.
it, Petra.
It's Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh my God, we could talk forever, but no one's in a box. Everyone's got lots of things happening in their lives.
Yeah.
Everyone's life is a little bit messy. Some of us our lives are a lot messy.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for
okay.
joining this conversation with me. I'm so happy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This has been fun. I could talk to you for hours.